for some assistance. She stood on her porch and she shouted, "Praise the Lord God, I need food. I'm having a hard time. Please God, send me some groceries." The next morning the lady went out on her porch, and sure enough there was a large bag of groceries. She stood there and in a very loud voice exclaimed, "Praise the Lord." At that moment the neighbour jumped out from behind the bush and said, "Aha! I told you there was no Lord. I bought those groceries. God didn't." At this point the lady started jumping up and down and clapping her hands, and she said, "Praise the Lord, he not only sent me groceries, he got the devil to pay for them." Now, I'm not suggesting you go ahead and do as Aslan did, but I ask you in all sincerity, is the current system good enough? Are we teaching young people working values and moral principles? I was on Howard FM on Friday, and they asked me, did I still feel that the HMP services are necessary? And I said to the young chap interviewing me, well, a review of the last 12 months around the world and the various deadly attacks that have taken place suggests there's still a fair amount of work to do. I frequently take groups of school children around this synagogue, and during my tour, I point to the model of the Ten Commandments behind me above the ark, and I ask, can you name them? Well, most of the time they can't. Not always, but a fair amount of the time they can't. Usually if I've got a large group, between all of them we can slowly extract 10 out of 10. I came across in a publication by the Reverend Malcolm Wiseman a children's test some years ago on the Bible. And these were the mistakes that they made. They're quite amusing, some of them. In the first book of the Bible, which is called Genesis, God got tired of creating the world, so he took the Sabbath off. Adam and Eve were created from an apple tree. Noah's wife was called Joan of Arc. Lot's wife was a pillar of salt by day, but a ball of fire. Forget that one. I hope this doesn't get back to the President of the United States. Samson slew the Philistines with the axe of the apostles. Moses led the Hebrews to the Red Sea, where they made unleavened bread, which is bread made without any ingredients. The Egyptians were all drowned in the desert. Afterwards, Moses went up Mount Sinai to get the 10 commandments. The first commandment was when Eve told Adam to eat the apple. The seventh commandment is, thou shalt not admit adultery. Moses died before he ever reached Canada. The greatest miracle in the Bible is when Joshua told his son to stand still, and he obeyed him. David was a Hebrew king skilled at playing the lyre, spelled L-I-A-R. He fought with the Finkelsteins, a race of people who lived in biblical times. Yabba dabba doo. Solomon, one of David's sons, had 300 wives and 700 porcupines. The people who followed the Lord were called the 12 decibels. St. Paul converted to Christianity. He preached holy acrimony, which is another name for marriage. Man should have only one spouse. This is called monotony. It's all true, you see. Now, you may argue, what does all this matter? Fine. But have you got any alternatives? Allow me to make a suggestion. Master Cutler, last year in your speech as senior warden, you said to the chap there, Sajid Javid, who came representing the government, that the government needs to develop a clear industrial strategy. Correct? Well, I think as a nation we should have a clear faith strategy. We should teach children how to believe in God. Not force them, but teach them. How he or she worships is a matter of personal choice. But the core belief that you are a creation of the Almighty is fundamental to humankind's well-being. I know I offend a humanist, but I'm prepared to argue it out. I spent the last few days doing the same thing, in one form or another, at all these HMB events. To prosper is to know that you have a reason for being here. You came from heaven, accompanied by angels at your side, to fulfill God's purpose on earth, and thereby make the world a better place. To this end, God has gifted you with the breath of life. So long as your heart beats within, you are still fulfilling that godly purpose. Evolution teaches that only the fittest survive. Creationism preaches that everyone is fit and deserves to survive. It makes no difference in the nature of your background, colour, race, size, orientation, faith, or any of the labels that we humans have chosen to erect as barriers between us. If you exist, you have God behind you. So if you're having a bad hair day, which is not something I suffer from, I would be grateful for any hair day. Remind yourself that you are not simply some random mutation, but predesigned by none other than God himself. You have a purpose, and your soul is on loan to you for the duration of your life. In the eyes of God, you mean a great deal. Your birthday represents the day that God said, I cannot manage without you. In the words of Harry Nilsson, I can't live if living is without you. This is what was forgotten during the Holocaust, or deliberately ignored. The same is true for all acts of genocide. But if we are taught to value the holiness of human life, the sacredness of the soul, both in ourselves and in others, then that, I believe, will have an impact on the future of humanity. Louise Hay, in your maiden speech in the House of Commons on the 5th of June 2015, you mentioned that Sheffield is the greenest city in the UK, with more trees per person than any other city. Am I correct? This I learned by consulting my esteemed colleague, Rabbi YouTube. But in just under 2 weeks, the Jewish faith celebrates a day called the annual New Year for trees, Tu B'Shvat. A tree has 3 basic parts: the roots, the body of the tree, and sometimes its fruit. The roots anchor the tree to the ground, stopping it from toppling over, as well as nourishing it with water and nutrients to create healthy growth. The tree itself grows tall and strong with leaves and branches and is always individual in size and shape. The fruit is the contribution the tree makes to other creatures, and it also contains the seeds for future trees. The roots are like faith, although hidden from sight. They nourish a person, they stop a person from falling, and contribute to one's growth and sense of purpose. The tree itself is like the individual, each of whom is different, and each person contributes to the rich and colourful diversity of society, the entire tapestry of humanity. The fruit is a contribution we all make towards the well-being of our fellow human beings, which also contains the ingredients to inspire them to make their mark as well. So I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by asking you to give of the fruits of thy hands to this noble charity to help others, and conclude with the words that you, Lord Mayor, carry on the chain of office. The Latin I don't know how to pronounce, but the meaning is, with God's help, our labour is successful. Thank you. President will now read a page on page 12, which is the reading.
Happy is he that wisely considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in the day of his misfortune. The Lord will preserve him and keep him alive, and he shall be made happy in the land. He hath shown thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. Is it not to break thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the wandering poor into thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hidest not thyself from thine own flesh. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord. He sendeth his word, and healeth them, and delivereth them from their destruction. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness and his wonderful works